Hello and welcome back to Chaos Head Noah. My name is Mimi Dennis, and last time we started off by going to the hospital with Nishijo, who woke up in a white room and was like, oh man, everything really sucks. My sister just died, now I made a public embarrassment of myself. And then the nurse Hazuki came over and was like, man, you had your entire family come over to visit you. You should have seen them. And he's like, wait, the entire family? And yeah, he found out that his sister is still alive, seemingly. We haven't actually physically seen her yet. But he got pretty happy about that. And after that, we went to the police. Bond seems to think that maybe there's something with like, I don't know, I don't want to say time travel, but like, it seems like the photo taken at the tower where the jumping happened couldn't have been possible because the buildings in the background weren't constructed yet. So maybe it was done like, I think it was like years ago or something. And afterwards, we went back to Nishijo, who looked up online all the shit that people are talking about him. There's quite a bit, and they're all calling him crazy, a disgrace to otaku, etc. He decides to go to school to seek the only solace he can find in Rimi. And when he got to school, he failed to find her. She wasn't there, not at all. And everyone was avoiding him, making fun of him. And he hears this like weird noise in his head that seems to be someone else with one of these delusion powers. And yeah, we ended off the episode with Bon at the office for forgot her name, but like the informant. And now we're back in the POV of Nishijo, I think. So let us continue. The strange voice had stopped, but I couldn't take being in the classroom anymore. I stayed in the bathroom for hours until afternoon classes were over. The only reason I didn't go straight home was that I was still hopeful that I might see Rimi. Oh, that makes sense. Everyone really shit on him to the point where he was, I don't want to say this, but he was definitely thinking of doing something bad. So, after school ended, everyone had gone home. I went back into the empty classroom. Rimi was waiting there. She turned to me and smiled. Oh, she's actually here. I wonder why she wasn't in the classroom. It's really weird. It kind of makes me think that maybe she wasn't originally part of the class, and her time in the classroom was all a delusion that she made real, or someone made real, because no one questioned it, and she wasn't in class earlier, but now she is, so it's really weird.
石どこ行ってたの？待ってたのよ。一緒に帰ろっか、タク。
Or maybe this is his delusion of her. I thought maybe she'd be there to say that to me. I hoped that maybe, somehow, that would happen. But the classroom was empty. Nobody was waiting for me. Okay, I got ahead of myself. I thought he said that she was there. Oh, this is a classroom at a different time of day. The sun is almost setting, I guess. I tried going to the courtyard. This is where Rimi had said that she'd be with me. But now there was nobody here. Nothing moved but the lonely purple blooms in the flower beds, which swayed in cold autumn wind. I took out the red handkerchief from my bag. It was the one that Rimi had given to me. I tried sniffing it. Okay. But the floral smell was gone. Maybe it had disappeared when I washed it that one time. I had the handkerchief, but the scent was gone. I had the memories, but Rimi was gone. I was out here wishing to meet a girl who maybe only existed in my head.
なんて
I was wandering the school after classes were over.
なんて救いようがないんだ。僕って
If he's wandering the school, I wonder if maybe he'll run into Nanami with a girl's handkerchief up against my lips. That is kind of creepy. I was so creepy, I wanted to throw up. Are we going back to the base? I think we're probably going to go to the streets. Yeah. I left the school and started to wander around the city with no real goal in mind. I just stopped caring about everything. I wasn't even worried that Shogun or Yua might find me anymore. If anything, I was hoping they'd just kill me, preferably in a way that wasn't painful. My mood was one of complete depression. I thought it said desperation. And seeing the way Central Shibuya looks right now only made me feel worse. Nobody had a smile on their face. Everyone was glaring at the people around them. It felt like a fight could break out at any minute. Just by walking around, I could see that some of the shops that would normally be bustling with customers had actually lowered their shutters all the way. And I couldn't be sure, but it looked like there were fewer cars too. Even the loud TVs in front of the station were silent. Instead, there was this distinct howling of police sirens, angry horns, and screeching tires. There was no traces of the mess I caused last week. Even if it hadn't gone from... even if it wasn't gone from individuals' memories. Maybe it had long since vanished from the memories of the town. I wish I could forget the memories myself. To know nothing, to be ignorant, to be stupid. That must be really nice.
無知は罪だ。知らない方が幸せなこともあるという人間もいるが、そんなのはただの甘えだ。
She would say that. She definitely would say that. That's what Senna had said. But what's wrong with being naive? I wasn't that strong. I was always looking for someone else to help me. I couldn't do anything on my own. I didn't want to do anything. I stood in the middle of the street and closed my eyes. Ooh, that might not be a good idea, my Bayan. My biggest problem right now was that I knew some things, but not everything's. Not everything's. I knew about things like Shogun and the D-Sword. Things I didn't even want to know, but somebody had asked me what they were. I couldn't even explain. I didn't have answers. Maybe I should just die, I thought to myself as I looked up at the O-front. If you die, are your memories reset so you can play again? Tell me, person controlling me. Your role-playing has failed completely this game. You leveled up all the wrong stats for your character. Hey, this is a visual novel. I didn't have choices, at least not yet. That's for the second playthrough. You should have made him more like a hero. Someone who was social and outgoing, kind to women, a friend to the weak, and a foe to the strong. Someone with a sense of justice, who could choose between right and wrong. You won't be able to beat the last boss with me. You won't be able to beat the game. Don't have any hope for me. Reset the game. Please, I'm worthless. Just delete me. Remy, are you gonna show up? Maybe so. Oh, but I wasn't deleted. Instead, somebody slammed into my shoulder. I thought I was hallucinating again. This morning, I'd hallucinate a girl's voice, so now it was a man's voice maybe. Nobody wanted to hear a man's voice. Give me something moe, something hot. And then I'd hear her whisper. Wait, what? And then have her whisper naughty things into my ear, and you get a boner even though I'm still in the middle of town.
無視してんじゃねえぞ。
なあてめえ、西条だな。
どうなんだ、やらせ超能力少年。
この前テレビ出てたよな。ギャラいっぱいもらったんだろ。
ちょっと顔貸せよ、エスパー君。
I opened my eyes. There are 3 men surrounding me. They're all wearing baggy clothes. They had gold, silver, and brown hair. 2 of them had piercings in their ears and nose. 1 had piercings in his ears. They were stereotypical thugs, dressed like something you would have seen years ago. If anything, they belonged in a museum. Well, there's a death flag. Or was this another thing where I was experiencing the bad route, and that came after I made the wrong choice? The bad stuff just kept coming. I didn't even care anymore. Just kill me so I can be reset and reborn. Do you have a knife on you or something? When you stab me, make sure I die instantly, okay? I was so scared my knees were shaking. I shouted out pure instinct. It was closer to a scream than a shout, but I didn't care. I didn't want to die. I don't want to die. I lied when I said I didn't care. I know things are bad, but I don't want to die.
うっせんだよ。
One put a hand over my mouth so I couldn't scream, and then the other 2 grabbed my arms.
騒ぐと殺すぞ。
I stopped resisting. Damn, no one heard that and no one did anything? Ooh, that... They took me into an empty alleyway. As they grinned at me, I decided to launch a preemptive attack.
許して。
I got down on my knees and begged in a shaky voice.
お金なら全部渡すから。それで見逃してください。
I offered them my wallet. One of the DQN snatched it out of my hands.
お前金持ちだな。さすが超能力少年だぜ。お前いいやつじゃん。俺気に入っちゃったよ。
I let a sigh of relief as I kneeled on the ground. It looked like they were gonna let me go. No, they're gonna keep milking you.
俺らの仲間に入れてやるよ。入会金は100万円な。 これ強制。本当はすぐ払ってもらうとこだけどよ。今日の夜までにしてやるよ。まあ、なんか超能力使って見せてくれたら、半額にしてやってもいいけどな。
なんか言えよ。
超能力見せろっつってんだよ。
You know, if these guys die, I don't care.
できねえの。
できねえのかっつってんだよ。
I felt a sharp pain in my side. I might have broken a rib. I couldn't breathe. I was passing out. I was feeling dizzy. Then I saw at the foot of the DQN in front of me. It was coming towards my face at incredible speed. What happened? It felt like there was an incredible pain in my face, but maybe it was just a delusion. I tried to open my eyes, but my eyelids wouldn't move. The darkness wouldn't go away.
だよ、もう伸びたのか？
どうする？このくらいにしとく？
もうちょっと痛みつけといた方がいいんじゃね？あのダーススパイダーの兄ちゃんもそう言ってたじゃん。
Oh shit. This is actually relevant. Oh crap. I thought it was just random bullies extorting him for money. But no, this is actually related to the plot.
ボコボコにしてくれって言ってた。
こいつボコるだけで金くれるなんて、よっぽどこいつのこと嫌いなのかもな。
というわけなんで、続きまーす。
俺らのこと恨まないでね。
Oh, Shogun's trying to put him in as much stress as possible to activate his D sword. Last time it was being at the edge of a building. This time it's potentially just getting beat up and having all his worst fears come to light. Where he tried his best to avoid these DQNs basically his entire life, try to not be the center of attention of anything so that he wouldn't be a target, but now he's just straight up a target. And, you know, he's getting beat up and maybe his life's on the line. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I want to kill you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I want to kill you.
おい、何土地狂ってんだよ。ふざけんなよ。
Those are my psychic powers, bitch.
なんだそれ。おい、よせ。やめろ。やめて。やだ。
Open your eyes. I want to see what's happening. Okay, so... Oh, it just ends there. Oh, hey Shogun. The weak light of the setting sun was pouring through the window of the hospital room. Oh man, Shogun still looks really weird. Though honestly, I mean, we call him Shogun, but like, there was no proof that this guy was on the rooftop. I mean, the only thing there was the Darth Spider stuff. And, you know, we never actually saw him. We heard a wheelchair, but the wheelchair could have come from anywhere, right? The color of the sunset split the room cleanly between light and shadow. Inside the light was... Actually, this is a really good shot. The lighting is really well done here, even though the room is mostly empty. And Shogun's kind of... Not gonna lie, he's kind of creepy. Yeah. His design is really confusing me because he looks like an old teenager. I think I mentioned this before, but like his stature is definitely not as big as I'd imagined from an adult, and he's clearly like aged up, but his design kind of confuses me, to be honest. Inside the light was a bed with pure white sheets, a portable gaming system sitting on the pillow. I don't see that. Don't lie to me. Rows of academic books sitting on a shelf. Light pink cosmos flowers sitting in a vase. The room was neat and organized. Nothing moved. It was a room where time had stopped. Near the window, where the sunlight shone through, there was someone small, sitting in a wheelchair. His back was to the window, and he wasn't moving. His breathing was so gentle and deep that you'd wonder if he might be dead. His skin was wrinkled, his cheeks caved in. His eyes sank deep into his skull. He had no hair at all on his head. Looking at him, it was unclear if he was a boy or an old man. Yeah, okay, I'm not the only one. Okay. The shadow of one who calls himself Shogun stretched all the way through the room's door. For the first time, the world moved. The door slowly opened, and someone came from the dark hallway into the evening light. Okay, someone's entering. So Shogun is a hospital patient, it seems. I feel like we can assume that a long time ago, just judging from the fact that he was in a wheelchair, though that's not a definitive indicator. He also looks relatively sickly, so I assume that he was a hospital patient. But I wonder if the person that that is visiting him is going to be someone we know. I feel like if there's anyone, it'd be Rimi. Yeah. I said that because Rimi's just such an anomaly still. I don't know much about her, and we keep seeing her in like all these weird visions, like in like the blue sky cloud world thing. We saw her at the murder, the crucified, and she just kind of showed up out of nowhere. So there's still a lot of mysteries surrounding Rimi. Rimi Sakahata stood at the entrance to the room. She didn't come any further. The setting sun illuminated her face, revealing the tension in her expression. Okay, so she is tense. So this proves at least that Rimi and Shogun are acquainted with each other. Though that does beg the question as to what that means.
もうやめよう。
Is this evidence that she actually is the killer for the crucified? Because it sounds like this sentence makes it sound like they were working together. All the things that Nishijo were delusional about might have been true. At least in the beginning of the game, when he thought that Rimi was the murderer.
残念だけど、あの彼は、西條匠は、消すべきだよ。
Uh-oh. Wait, get rid of... You should eliminate him now. Shogun didn't respond to her words at all.
どうして？
Oh, wait, so... you should eliminate him. So that means he's against eliminating him, while Rimi is for.
危険だから。
There was a sadness and pain in her voice. She may not have realized it, but there were tears in her eyes. Actually... So Shogun's trying to get... At least if we're assuming that Shogun is the same Shogun as the one on the rooftop, he's trying to get Takumi or Nishijo to get his D-sword, or at least to access like his delusion powers, where he can essentially alter reality. While Rimi's like, I don't want him to do that because that's dangerous. We should eliminate him. I don't know what this means. Because in a way, depending on the purpose that Shogun's trying to get him to activate his D-sword, Shogun might be a good guy. Shogun being a bad guy was, Takumi's delusion. Although he did make him do a whole bunch of stuff that is, very villainous. So, I cannot grasp the full picture at the moment.
私が、消そうか。
ダメだよ。
Rimi couldn't tell if his lips were even moving.
彼には、やってもらわなくちゃいけないことがあるんだ。
Something I need him to do. Rimi's head slumped forward. Her hair fell forward along with it, and she brushed it back with her fingers.
例えば、あなたは、夢に見たことを覚えていられる？
In your dreams. Is he the one that dreamed of Rimi in the sky space? I'm just gonna call it that.
そっか。私、すぐ忘れちゃうんだ。
できる人と、できない人がいる。
できる人はきっと、ロマンチストなんだね。
すごく長い夢をよく見るよ。見ている間は、何年にも感じられる。
Wow, those are really long dreams.
私も、そうだった気がする。でも、それは幻。 実際の時間としては、寝ているうちのほんの2、3秒程度のものなんだって、夢って。心の歌方なの。だから、早く目覚めて、でないと、いつか、あなたは、西条匠に殺されちゃう。
Honestly, I feel like just the way that Shogun is pushing Takumi to get his D sword, this might be the direction that it will go. So I don't know what Shogun's purpose is for Takumi getting his D sword, but it's definitely not gonna help him, save his life because he's gonna go after you if he does.
それでも構わないよ。
Okay.
夢から覚めるわけにはいかない。
Oh, wait. Are we in his? Is this not the real world? Is this entire game in his dream? What?
この夢は完結させなくちゃ。
完結した夢の後には、何が残るの
That's extremely ominous. Back to Takumi. Someone softly shook my shoulders. It was a very hesitant shake, and after the one time, they quickly pulled away. Oh, wait, that sound. I think that was the sound of the person in his. Wait, actually, I want to check something. So, the person called themselves Kozupi, and I'm pretty sure that was like. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was Kozue. And I think that's the same voice. So this is probably going to be Kozue, which is good because she's one of the characters in the cover art that has had virtually zero character development. I know nothing about them other than the fact that they moved to this city after burning some stuff and was all cute and whatnot. Someone was peering into my face. At least, that's what it felt like. I was slowly beginning to wake up. As I did, the pain came back to me. Something stunk. Bad. It was a strong raw scent. The scent of blood. The area around my upper lip stung. There was a metallic taste all throughout my mouth. I slowly opened my eyes. Yep, that was her. I think it was Orihara Kozue. I was in the alley I'd been in a moment ago. I was lying face down on the asphalt. Right in front of me was a pool of dark brown water that looked like it had dripped out of a garbage bag. I winced at the awful stench and stood up. My whole body ached. The area around my face hurt the most. It was hot and stinging, like someone had brought a lighter right up close to my face. There was a girl leaning down right next to me, looking at me like she was about to cry. It was the transfer student, the girl who transferred into my class. What was her name again? Orihara. What was she doing here? She just makes anime noises and nothing else. She offered me something. My wallet. Why does she have it? I looked around, still feeling woozy. There are 3 dead bodies around me. The 3 DQNs who had been hassling me were lying on the ground, covered in blood. What the hell happened here? They got the crap kicked out of them. All their faces were so smashed in, I could barely recognize them. What? Were they dead? They weren't moving at all. Was this the 7th New Gen incident? Who could have done this? Was it me? Did I do it? Speak in words, please! The transfer student stood up and beckoned to me, her face pale. She kept looking at me, and then the 3 men on the ground, tears forming in the corner of her eyes. And then suddenly she grabbed my hand and started to run. Oh right, the first time we saw Kozue, she had a D-sword. It happened for one screen, and that was it. We blinked and it was gone. When we got out to the main street, she finally let go. We hadn't run that far, but she was already exhausted. More anime noises. Anime noises in response. We both fell silent. Maybe she was like me, for real, and not really good at talking to other people. No, that didn't matter right now. What was going on here? The three DQNs had picked a fight with me and were beating me up. I must have passed out. I wonder how long I was lying there. It's always the same thing when they show that. It's like some weird writing. Okay. No idea what's happening. No idea at all. Oh, so she can't speak to us, but she can think to us. I see. There it is again. I was hearing it again. I thought that maybe somebody I knew was close and by and talking to me. I couldn't see anybody else around. Crap, why was I suddenly hearing things? She's so different in her headspace voice. Maybe my brain had been pushed so close to the brink that I had made another personality to survive? Maybe I did have multiple personalities like Yua said. I heard it once before that normally different personalities didn't communicate with each other. Maybe I was the exception? I was getting so tired of this. Was I eventually going to start hearing these voices of other personalities too, besides this obnoxious Kozupi one? How many personalities were inside me anyway? I read in some book that there was a patient with 24 different personalities somewhere in America. And what was more, I didn't even know if my personality was the primary one. A different personality might be the actual owner of Takumi, Nishijo's body. As I stood there in shock, the transfer student poked me. As she did, she tried to whisper something, but seemed to fail. Instead, she nervously raised her hand. You realize there are many easier ways to explain that that person is you. Finally, okay, finally. Kozue Orihara. I vaguely remembered hearing the name a long time ago from Misumi. Kozue. Kozupi. No way. So you're sending this voice directly inside my head? She nodded again and again, as hard as she could.
Telepathy.
That's impossible. So, this voice was actually coming from the girl in front of me? Her head was still slumped forward, but her eyes were turned up at me. She pointed a finger at my face. It was shaking. Ta-da-dee! I touched my face. The area under my nose was wet. My nose had been bleeding. She took out a pack of tissues from her pocket. I used it to wipe away the blood, feeling really creeped out. The transfer student... I get it, stop! Get out of my head! Kozupi's mouth wasn't moving. She wasn't speaking. So how could I hear her? The voice of the heart. Stop ending your sentences like that. It's weird when 3D girls do it. Wow. Wait, you can hear my thoughts too? Well, you can't talk normally either. Anime noises. I see. I understood how that felt. I was the same way. Her gaze suddenly darted back and forth, like a little animal, before glancing at me and walking off towards the station on her own. Why? I followed, confused. As I walked, I realized something. Actually, what does it say in the background? The value of death. Life is suffering caused by desire. To end the suffering, we must end desire. I feel like I've read that before. It's just been so long for me. There was a stabbing pain in my side. Each step I took ached so much that I had to stop. I held my side and took a moment to catch my breath. There's so many people here. I hated Shibuya. It felt like everybody I passed was laughing at me. It felt like everybody was looking at me. I started to feel like everybody knew who I was. Don't look at me. Don't laugh at me. I need to rest somewhere without a lot of people around.
ほいじゃあ、いいところがあるなら
Oh crap, you can read my mind now. I forgot.
ご案内します。
I wonder if Misumi will see this. It's like, hey, you got a head start. How did you get her to talk to you? Tell me. I'd only met Kozupi a few times at school, but now she was like a completely different person. And even though in the real world she was completely silent, in her mind she was...
ああ、今うるさい女って考えた。
Oh god. Oh no. It was convenient to be able to talk to somebody mentally, but it was also obnoxious. I heard that. Well, wait a second. How did this even work? Was it a real psychic power?
やっぱりコズピーのこと気味悪いよね。
Oh, not as creepy as Nishijo.
こんなの普通じゃないし。
The fact that it's not normal doesn't really bother me. I've met a lot of weird people lately. You might talk funny, but you're not scared or crazy, so you're a lot better than some of them.
そう言ってもらえるとうるうるってなっちゃうのら。
Kozubi suddenly started to cry as she walked. Surprised, I handed back to... Oh, I thought I said I headed back to the streets. I don't know why I thought it said that. Surprised, I handed back the tissues. Ew, these are all used? She wiped her eyes with one of them, giving me a bow that was deeper than it needed to be. So, anyway, having you read all my thoughts is creepy and uncomfortable too. That's my honest opinion.
そうだよね。ごめんなさい。
I'm sorry.
でも聞きたくなくても聞こえちゃうの。
Oh, yeah, that would make you pretty quiet and depressed. It's like Tyrion from Tyrion Cuthbert. Is that true?
そうなの。
Well, I'm sure you don't want to hear that coming from a creepy otaku like me, of course. I'm a creepy loser and totally worthless.
そんなことない。
Just as I was starting to go back into depression mode, I heard Kozubi shout into my mind.
ダメだよ。そんなこと言っちゃ。そんな悲しいこと。
Anashi. She started crying again. Why are you crying? Are you pitying me? If so, you don't need to do that. I'm such a weirdo. I make up girls in my head and pretend they're real, like Rimi.
それって咲畑さんじゃなかった。咲畑さんのこと？
Okay, that... If someone else is able to perceive her, then it's probably real, I think. At least someone with a D-sword. Wait, you know her?
だってクラスメートだよ。西条くんの彼女さんなのら。
No, she's not.
あ、違うの？てっきりそうだとばっかり思ってた。
Her eyebrows went up like, ooh. Kozupi knew Rimi. That can only mean one thing. Rimi was real. The One Piece was real. She wasn't a delusion. She wasn't somebody I'd invented in my head. She was a real person.
そうか。
Whew. But then why wouldn't she make any effort to contact me? Maybe she'd given up on me after what happened at O-Front.
咲畑さん、地震があったあの日、青い顔をして早退して行っちゃったのら。それ以来、学校来てないよ。
Oh, okay.
もしかして家族に何か悲しいことがあったかも。
Oh. I felt so much better. Knowing that Rimi hadn't given up on me after all made me feel like I was really going to cry. But the next time she sees you, she might kill you. Must eliminate. I had a reason to go back to school again. I wanted to see Rimi. Until she came back, I would keep forcing myself to go to school every day.
気をつけてね。
Wait, what?
西条くんが崎畑さんと付き合ってるって思ってたから言わなかった。けど崎畑さんには気をつけて。
What does that mean?
崎畑さんはよくわかんないのら。
Oh wait, then that means maybe she can read her mind too, and there's something in there that's very concerning. Like killing some people on crosses. What does that mean though? You don't understand her? You mean the crucified murder? Or are you talking about how all my memories of her being my classmate since our first year were missing? She was still mysterious in a lot of ways, for sure. But she had been there for me so many times. When I was scared, she offered to be by my side. She wasn't my enemy. For some reason, Kozupi looked dizzy.
そんなに一度にいっぱい考えられると。
Oh, overload, stop!
コーズピーついていきにゃい。
Sorry. It was kind of strange. When I was talking to people, I always had trouble getting out even a fifth of what I was trying to say. But talking like this meant that I have to work on not thinking too much. It was probably the same for Kozupi. I didn't think she'd talk so much in her mind.
喋ってるっていう感覚は薄いよ。考えてるだけ。それが流れ込むだけ。
Oh, wait, she's moving her mouth.
相手にはビビーって、相手からはドバーって。
Oh, she sounds like a child.
慣れてないと自分の思考と相手の思考がごちゃごちゃってなってにゃーってなるの。
Please to speak Japanese, K, thanks. I mean, I kind of get the nuance, but I guess she meant that there are none of the more subtle points of conversation. You never have to worry about being too scared about what the other person would think and not being able to say what you wanted to say. You couldn't try to read the room if every single thought you had was being shared. It wasn't one-way communication. Maybe it wasn't two-way communication either. Maybe it was like trying to focus on one out of a million things at once and ignoring the rest.
だから気楽だし距離感も近いけど傷つくことも簡単なの。
Ooh, that does make sense. A lot of people kind of don't like her, and it's probably because she knows too much. She's in their mind. She frowned for a moment, but then an expression appeared on her face that was halfway between a smile and a sob.
西条くんは初めてなのにすんごく上手だよ。
Nihon Jozu.
コズピーとビビビが合うの。
We have the same beep beep beep. Beep beep beep. Huh? Wait, maybe she was saying that we were on the same wavelength?
そう波長。
Well, I was always having similar conversations in my head with Seraton. Maybe that was why.
でもあの時の西条くんは怖かったの。
Poppy. Oh, she's talking about when he was thinking about killing people, both in the classroom and when he was getting beat up by those three DQNs. Wait, then?
今日の朝教室で
Crap. Come to think of it, I had some really weird, nasty delusions.
だからうひゃーって思ってつい声をかけちゃったのら。本当はなるべくこの力を他の人に知られないようにしようって決めてたのに。
No, I was kind of in a bad place then. And well, it was just a delusion. Yeah, most people would find that disgusting.
きっとそれを本当にやってたらコズピーは西条くんを
I would have killed you.
殺してたよ。
Yes. Huh? The gap between her tone and her words made me shiver. We walked through Center Street silently, talking to each other in our minds, and headed out to the Inokashira Street. I wonder how diesel she is. We saw her D-sword and it was massive. It was like a shield sword thing. I don't know if that made any sense, but it was giant. If you didn't know the truth, you might think that from the way that we were walking along silently without really looking at each other, that we were a couple that just started dating. Kozubi let out a gasp next to me. Her eyes went wide as she looked up at me. Right, you can read my thoughts. No, just a hypothetical.
まだふひゃーってさせられたのら西条くんにラブラブラブ告白されたかと
Sorry. It was hard when somebody can hear every thought. It was probably best to keep my delusions to a minimum when talking to Kozupi.
聞きたいな先週の西条くんがテレビに出てた時のこと
Oh god. Oh no. You wouldn't believe me if I told you.
それ決めつけうぶコズピーはあの時下にいたんだよ
Oh, I'm just imagining. You see how this guy was making me try to like get my D sword. Oh, let me explain what D sword is. And she just pulls out her giant massive sword. It's like, is it this? Below.
スクランブル交差点ハチ公口の改札前ちょうど通りかかってあの時ずっと声聞こえてたよ西条くんの声ナナミさんを助けたい助けなきゃって
Wait, what is the range of your technique? Because like Nishijo or Takumi was all the way on like the 8th floor, which is like or tall higher, you know, on the roof. Wouldn't you hear the people around you instead of Takumi?
聞こえたよ
My thoughts carried that far? There was a pretty big distance between the roof of O Front and the turnstiles at the station.
それだけあの時の西条くんの思いは強かったのら
Oh, okay. You know what, fair. I guess distance doesn't matter if one of them is shouting at the top of their mind. Okay, that sounded weird, but you get what I'm saying. So, you would know then. You know that I wasn't up there pretending to be a psychic for attention.
だから、
She's mouthing words again.
なくなくないよ
You're not worth it.
なく
But in the end, I failed. I chose to save my own life instead of saving hers. I ran away at the last minute. Kozubi stopped right in front of the roof building. She pointed at the entrance as she looked at me. This was, evidently, the place where she wanted to take me. Roth was a store that sold cosmetics, kitchenware, and a little knickknacks. I couldn't imagine there being any place to rest there. It was a cramped space that was filled with people. My legs were shaking. The cheers and angry yells I'd heard that night in the scrambled crossing started to echo in my head. I didn't want to go anywhere with so many people around. If I went inside Roth, there would be nowhere to run.
大丈夫だよ
Okay, yeah, just kind of looks like you're... At least this part looks like a department store. She ignored my fear and headed inside. I had no choice but to quickly follow, trying my best not to look at the people around me. Wait, let's see. No, yeah, it's just a normal, like, mall department store thing. When we got up the escalator, Kozubi took around to look at me. She was a step ahead of me, but, above me, but she was so tiny, we were at the same height.
ナナミちゃんは助かったんだよねだったら西条くんが頑張ったおかげだよ
I hadn't been the one to save her. I hadn't really done anything.
屋上から手を伸ばしてたよね何をしようとしたのビョーンって飛ぼうとしたのかな
I thought you heard me. No, I was trying to get a sword. It's made out of delusions, and I could kind of see it from up there on the roof.
理想度
Oh, yeah, that's right. They said that if I stretched out my hand, I could grab it, but it didn't work. Hold up a second. What did you just say?
なんで
I suddenly shouted aloud. A couple down the escalator opposite of us glared at me, and I quickly put my hand over my mouth. Kozupi, how did you know about the D-swords?
コズピーも持っているもん。
Whips out your sword. We got off the escalator at the 5th floor, and Kozubi casually raised her right hand above her head. It was just like she was trying to block out the brightness of the sun. But suddenly, whoosh! Suddenly, a light appeared in midair next to her hand. Oh, I wonder what it's gonna look like. No, it wasn't a light. It was a line. You could say it looked like a wireframe. Rays of light overlapped in what only had a moment ago been empty space, forming something that looked like a snowboard. Then rays of blue light, brighter than the rays of the wireframe, streamed out of it. Kozubi closed her open hand. Oh, yeah, that thing is massive. I think that's bigger than her. What had been a wireframe instead became a heavy, cold slab of metal. Like someone had pasted textures on it.
ディソード。
That looks like a Dark Souls weapon. It looked completely different than the ones Ayase and Senna had, but had the same kind of intensity about it. It was far too malevolent to be a simple board, and far too unadored to be a sword. It combined an innocent ferocity with a destructive beauty, and she held it above her like it weighed nothing at all. I thought she had a different design. I thought it looked more like a shield, but I do remember it being massive, and maybe that just altered what I remembered of it. She's getting my head too. Help! That thing was too big to be swinging around indoors. There were other people around her too. If she hurt someone, it could be really bad. Watching her holding it made me feel like I was going to have a heart attack. Whether she knew of my worries or not, Kosubi lowered the blade from above her head and began to spin. She looked like she was having the time of her life.
これがコズピーの剣だよ。悪い人をやっつけるのら。
Beats up the bad people. Ah, the 3 bullies. Something about her words made my heart started beating faster. Something was wrong. Oh, boop. That's why I remember the smell of blood. I remember how I'd been seeing those DQNs lying in the puddle of their own blood.
あんなひどいことする人たちは死んで当然だよ。プンプン。
So, did they die, or are they just bleeding out and then they will die? So they were dead after all?
うん。
Okay.
生きてる価値もないけど、あんなゴキゴキな人たちは
The Rochi Roach?
ゴキブリ？
I was gonna say Rochi Roach in response to her previous statement, but then my Takumi's next statement was just Rochi Roach.
はあ、殺したかったな。
I think she's dangerous, man. I could tell exactly how her heart was feeling when she said those words. There wasn't any malice inside her, as far as she was concerned. She was just giving bad people what they deserved, and there was nothing wrong with that at all.
最近渋谷はますます物騒だよ。昨日も怖そうなゴキゴキ男たちに拉致されそうになっちゃったから、ドカドカドカーンってしてやったのら。
I went kerthwack right in front of their faces, Nora. She might be twisted too, in a different way than me. Hey, bitch, I heard that.
西条くん、こっちです。
Kosubi started walking again, carrying the huge D-sword in her hands. She was tiny, with thin arms. She looked so weak, and yet she didn't seem to struggle at all with the heavy-looking weapon. Many times, the blade came close to slamming into a shelf or a nearby shopper, and each time, I covered my eyes, but miraculously, it didn't hit anyone. We ended up in a stairwell. It was dimly lit, and unlike the rest of the floor we were on, there was nobody here at all. Nobody came by, either. It was shocking to me that just 5 minutes from Shibuya Station, and inside the Roth building, one of the most famous stores in Japan, there was a space that could be this empty.
ロフトだけじゃない の階段って全然人がいないの。
I don't know if that's true, but they are significantly emptier. You might have a point. I lived in Shibuya for almost 2 years and didn't know that. How she figured it out in just a few weeks?
コズピーは東京に来てから毎日渋谷を歩き回ってたのら。
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't go out if I don't need to.
それで見つけたの。憩いの場所だよ。
Kozubi sat down on the steps, clearly in a good mood. She casually set the D-sword down next to her. The pain in my side was getting far too much for me to bear, so I decided to take a rest.
それで景色とか模様とか見ると別のものが見えたりしないかな。ゾウさんとかウサギさんとかライオンさんとか。
Oh, wait, we had this conversation before. We even got a glossary for it in the tips list. I completely forgot what it was, though. But it was about finding patterns or shapes in things that aren't necessarily in that shape, but you just see it that way. Usually, like faces and whatnot.
思ったのはオオサンショウオさんに見えてた時。
What was she talking about?
理想度の話ですよ。
Wait, an elephant D-sword? What?
何かの模様とか景色とか見ると動物さんとかいろんな形に見えることがあって。
Oh, that? Yeah, I'd seen that before. I tried to see something like that on the top of O front building and succeeded. I'd seen the D-sword blended in with the scenery.
はい、ピンポンです。コズピーが最初に見えた時はハムポンポンが死んじゃった時。
Ham Pon Pon? Is that a hamster? Ham Pon Pon?
小学生の時。
Oh, it is.
ハムスター。
Hamtaro, no!
ほいでハムポンポンのお墓を作ってあげようって土手に行ったのら。でもスコップ忘れてお墓作れなくてふみゃーって泣いていたらお空にこの剣の形が見えた。それからはいろんなところでよく見るようになったのら。
How did you get it, though? I found it, but I couldn't grab it, no matter how much I reached out. I couldn't touch it or grab it.
ただ願ったんだよ。
Wished? You wished to get the sword? But I did that too! Kozubi looked up at me, softly shaking her head.
違うのら。
She didn't wish for the sword, but maybe she wished for something else and the sword came to her as a result?
願ったのはね、殺してやりたいっていうこと。
Ooh, okay. So all the people who have this are, kind of murderous. Huh? I could hear the voice of her mind clearly within my own. I hadn't mistaken it. I'd heard exactly what she said. My wish was to kill. She said it with a smile, too. The stairs leading up from the 5th floor of the Roth building to the 6th floor were very quiet. You could only faintly hear the music coming from the shops. She didn't say a word, and neither did I. I could hear somebody's breath loudly in my ears. Was it hers? No, it was mine. A staircase where nobody came. A blind spot in the dead center of Shibuya. An air pocket. I gulped down saliva to wet my suddenly parched throat. I'm here to kill you.
ミューって空見たらまた剣が見えて。でもその時まで剣とは思ってなかったよ。なんだかガキーンってしたものって思ってた。
Big clang. Big clang thing. Okay.
殺せるかなって無意識に手を伸ばしたら。
Wait, who did you want to kill? I thought you were getting a shovel. And you're trying to bury a pet. Who was there to kill?
本当につかめたのら。
And then, what happened? What did you do?
殺そうとしたけどできなかった。コズピーの力じゃ半殺しにするのが精一杯だったのです。
This girl was broken.
壊れてないよ。ここに剣あるもん。
She was gazing lovingly at the sword next to her. I could tell from the way she was looking at it that she had complete trust in it. Her mind was telling me the same thing. Maybe I couldn't get the D sword unless I was broken too. Wait, does this mean I wasn't broken already? She's like, come on, I'm right here! Police
この
time?
件が
Oh, never mind.
怖くて仕方なかった。
That's what she thought until she came to Tokyo. But now she felt differently. Now it was something precious, something very important to her. As long as she had the sword, there was nothing to be scared of. The sword would protect her. The sword was her heart. It was her other self. It was about 3 weeks ago that she changed her mind. Kozue had always had the power to hear what other people were thinking. Oh, that was before she even had the D-sword? I mean, I guess Takumi also did some supernatural stuff without the D-sword, so I guess that makes sense. She couldn't remember it anymore when she first realized that she had it. She thought she had gone crazy or that she was just sick. In her own childish way, she thought that she couldn't let anybody find out. She hadn't told anybody, not even her parents. Because of her power, she couldn't make any friends. It created a rift between her and her family too. All the people around her started to think that she was creepy, that her intuition was a little too good. Even after coming to Shibuya, she had been scared to go to school. She hadn't wanted to talk to anybody. She thought that they'd just find her creepy again. The first day she was supposed to go to school, and the day after that, and even the day after that, she'd skip school and spend the day wandering around Shibuya instead. She knew that school must have contacted her parents. They must have known that Kozue wasn't going, but the two of them didn't say anything to her at all. Kozue looked young enough to be mistaken for a middle schooler, and yet, unlike back home and the countryside, nobody stopped her when she was out in the middle of the day. She spent days wandering around Shibuya. She found her little peaceful spot in the Roth stairwell, and every day she'd go up there to sit. One day, she'd almost spent 4 hours there until the sun began to finally set. Then she'd left Roth to go home. Raindrops were pouring from the dull gray sky. She hadn't brought an umbrella, but she neither looked up at the sky nor seemed to care about getting wet. She simply headed home through the rain on unsteady feet. Then she saw something in the corner of her eye. It was a sign that read, "The end is near." Oh, this is the homeless dude that had the sign the entire... He's an actual character. Oh, oh man. Okay, that got me for a second. The handwritten text was blurring in the rain. Holding the board was a homeless man sitting unobtrusively on the side of the road in the middle of the pouring rain. His head was slumped forward, and she couldn't see his expression. He might have been dead. The way he looked reminded her of how she looked sitting in the Roth stairwell. She stopped. Oh, she has a different outfit this time. For a moment, she hesitated. She never met this man and had never even seen a homeless person until she came to Tokyo. He looked repulsive. She was so scared that that if she talked to him, something horrible might happen to her. But there was another desire that won out over her fear, a desire to kill him. It was such a sudden, strong impulse that she thought to herself that if she obeyed it, she might be able to kill herself too. So, after a short moment's hesitation, she spoke with him with the voice in her mind.
世界は終わるの?
Suddenly, his shoulders twitched. He wasn't dead after all. He slowly raised his head. His cloudy eyes peered through his soaked hair as he looked up at her.
ああ、終わるよ。
Kozuo's eyes went a little wide with surprise. Not at being told that the world would end, but at the fact that the man had replied to her. She hadn't expected a reply. Most people spoke like this either tried to convince themselves that they were hearing things, or got scared and quickly left. Even if she did succeed in communicating with somebody, it was hard for them to send back such a straightforward, understandable reply. Doing so was difficult. Human thought was disordered and random. But the man hadn't seemed surprised at all. Instead, he'd given her a short, simple answer. Through his voice, she could feel a deep sadness filling his heart. His heart was crying. That's how it felt to her.
君は剣を持っているね。
Oh, wait. This homeless guy is so informed. I didn't know he'd be so important.
どう してわかるの？
So this homeless guy knows about D swords.
君のような子を他にも知っているから。
She put her hand above her head and summoned her D sword. She pointed the blade at him. Ooh.
この剣が見えるの？
Okay, okay. The empty eyes made it seem like, I'm gonna stab you, bitch.
見えないよ。
じゃあ、どうしてわかるの？
おじさんが悪い人だからだよ。
So, is he saying bad people can see it, or he can see it because he did something bad, or not? No, he knows about it because he did something bad.
すまない。
どうして謝るの？
おじさんのせいなんだ。
どうしておじさんのせいなの？
忠告しかできないから。動き出してしまったから。もうおじさんには止める術がないから。
じゃあ、おじさんを殺せばコズピーは悪くなくなるの？
その剣は君を殺す者にも守る者にもなる。思い出してごらん。空を見れば雲が、川を見れば流れが、そこにあったはず。それと同じこと。
You're not really making any sense to me. I have no idea what you're saying.
その剣はいつも君のそばにあった。自分自身の心を見てごらん。そこにあるのがその剣なんだよ。
でも、殺したいって願ったら、これが手元にあったんだよ。この剣は、コズピーとコズピーの周囲にあるあらゆるものを殺すためのものじゃないの？
負の感情は否定されるものじゃない。人が誰しも持つものだからね。
Man, Takumi needs to go to this person for a therapy session.
特別じゃないんだ。どう向き合うかだよ。目をそらしてはいけない。自分を否定してはいけない。世界は共存。君の心の中にある性は同時に負となりうるし、その逆もまた可能。世界が終わるのか、生き続けるのか、それを選べるのは君たちだけなんだ。
In the end, she hadn't killed the man. The desire to do so receded as they spoke. She didn't understand what the man was trying to say, but she thought and thought as hard as she could, and finally reached a conclusion. The sword was her. She looked at it without denying it, and it saved her. That's why she come to depend on it, in her own pure-hearted way. Oh, that's why in the analysis she was like, accept and embrace the delusions. Something in Kozupi's story made me curious. Who was that man? A homeless man with a big sign. It felt like I'd seen him a few times before too. Were they the same person? What I couldn't figure out was how the guy would know about the D-swords. Maybe the D-swords were famous in Japan, I just didn't know it. No, there was no way. I looked over at Kozupi. Her expression was so calm and peaceful, it was hard to believe that she had been talking about killing people a moment ago. She ran her fingers softly along the surface of the D-sword.
そういえば、あのおじさん、別れ際にこんなこと言ってたのら。君たちは特別な存在だ。中でも一番特別なのは、
You're all special. Almost.
その目、誰の目を産み落とした少年。
This is me?
らしいんだって。
I was stunned. What did that mean?
西条くん、心当たりあるの？
いや、別に。
嘘ら。 心は正直なんだよ。西条くんは今、ものすごーく関係ありますって考えてる。
Crap. It's hard when somebody knows your every thought.
なんか、怖い顔になってる。その目、誰の目って、西条くんが最初に考えたの？
Yeah, you got me. I bit my lip and stood up. I pulled out the tissues I stuffed in my nose. The blood had stopped. Kozupi was looking up at me confused.
どこへ？
I'm going home. Yeah, I don't want to talk about this anymore. Oh, alright. That was kind of intense. We learned a lot of new things. But, I think I'm gonna stop here. It might be kind of sudden, because I feel like there might be more with Kozupi. But, oh man, the several revelations we got were kind of mind-blowing. One of that, you know, the homeless guy is actually relevant. Two, Kozue is very skilled and could potentially kill people. And three, Takumi is very, very special. I wonder what that means in the long run, though. Is he gonna have a special D-sword, one that's more powerful than the others? Or is it gonna be like, this is just different? I'm not sure. But we'll continue with the story next time and find out more about probably the homeless dude, because we've seen him several times. But until then, I will be seeing you. See ya!